September 11th this year had an incident that you probably didn't hear about. It involved Southwest Airlines Flight 1394 out of Burbank, California, on their way to Phoenix, Arizona. They lose an engine. Watch what happens.
So 1394, contact SoCal departure of a safe flight.
Hey, Tower Southwest 1394, declaring emergency with an engine failure.
Okay, that didn't take long. These guys basically have just departed from the airport. They're probably about 500 feet when they lose an engine, and that's really low to the ground. So they declare an emergency right away. Probably should have Mayday, but they didn't. They declared an emergency. I want you to listen to this captain, or at least the guy talking on the radio. I'm assuming it's the captain, but a very experienced pilot here, and that's what I really love about this particular scenario, is that this guy has got everything under control, and he does a really nice job of managing the flight, the cockpit, and communications with everybody out there. But this thing gets a little tense here in a minute, so let's keep watching.
South 1394, Roger, are you able to make right traffic to runway 8?
Yes, sir, we will be able to eventually.
Okay, first decision he's got to make, right? He's already decided who's flying the airplane. So when an engine fails, you get a light on your ICAS screen that says engine fail, or if it's a fire, it says engine fire. It's bright red. It brings the master caution light on right in front of you. It starts flashing. You got to put it out, and you have to say, my aircraft, if you're the pilot flying. The pilot monitoring now has prescribed duties that they do. There's the first gate that they have to reach is the engine out altitude. Every flight, before I take off, we put an engine out altitude in, and we know exactly where that is. And it's usually 800 to 1,000 feet above the field. And usually we ask for straight out vectors. It's not always possible in mountainous terrain like Southern California. Sometimes air traffic control is going to have to tell you to turn right or left. The wonderful thing about these airplanes, and this is a 737, is it can climb on a single engine, right? Now, it's not going to climb like a Tiger, but it's going to climb just fine. So they level off, or they slow their rate of climb when they get to that engine out altitude, and they clean up the airplane. So the gear has already been brought up. At 500 feet, that gear has been up for a long time. Now they're going to raise the flaps. They're going to get the airplane a little smoother to fly through the air, less drag, because they're only on one engine at this point. So he's got a bunch of things he's done already. His next decision is, where is he going to put this airplane down? The first little trap that this captain catches is this. The air traffic controller says, do you want right downwind to runway 8? Do you want to come right back to Burbank? And he's like, yeah, eventually. All right, he tables that decision, and that's a wise captain.
South 1394, runway 8, cleared to land.
So now the controller's talking him into something. He says, runway 8 cleared to land. Now, if you're, and no disrespect to my young pilots, but a lot of times you just want to go time out to the air traffic controller. I got a lot of stuff I got to get done here before I come in for a landing. I just took off out of Burbank, California. Burbank is in a canyon of buildings all the way around it, and it's very short runways. I think the longest runway at Burbank is that runway 8. It's 6,800 feet long. It's less than 7,000 feet. I don't want to go back to Burbank with an engine out. I'm going to have to calculate how much distance I'm going to need to land with an engine out. I'm going to land faster. I'm heavier because I've got extra fuel on board. I'm going to land with a higher flap configuration. Instead of 25 or 30, I'm going to land with flaps 20. That means I'm going to touch down even faster. A 737 already touches down really fast. So again, I'm probably thinking I'm not going back to Burbank, but this he's kind of being talked into it right now. But a good captain just does a timeout, sits on his hands, and says, hang in there, I'll get back to you.
1394, Roger.
He just says Roger, right? He hasn't agreed yet.
With 1394.
Okay, hey, Tower, 1394, yep, go ahead.
South 1394, Tower.
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely got engine failure number 1. We're going to need some vectors and spacing here to run some checklists before we can come back into land.
Okay.
South 1394, Roger. Fly heading up 270. And what altitude do you need? Is the altitude you're at going to work for you?
4,000 would be great for the altitude, and heading at 270 for Southwest 1394.
Okay, so he set up his intentions. He said, I got some checklists to run.
1394, maintain 4,000, stand by for frequency change to SoCal. They're going to have to be the ones that talk to you, or do you want to stay on this frequency?
No, we can take a frequency change.
Now, listen to the difference between the air traffic controller and the captain. Air traffic controller sounds like he's like in a little bit of a panic. He's rushing what he's saying. The captain's just like, hey, you know what? I got it. Kind of slow, calm, good.
1394, stand by.
Okay.
So 1394, contact SoCal approach on 124.6. They'll re-vector you in.
24-6 up with 1394, roger.
Okay, so now that tower controller is still thinking this guy's coming back to Burbank. And remember, the captain hasn't agreed to that yet. The air traffic controller, the tower controller thinks he is. He's going to get handed off to SoCal. He and his co-pilot have had some time to discuss it now, and I think they're going to come up with a different plan. I would.
Hey, SoCal, Southwest 1394, emergency aircraft checking with you, 4,000. Southwest 1394, SoCal, departure, roger, Burbank, altimeter 2998, and your radar contact. Roger, we're going to stay at 4, we're just going to need some vectors here to work out a checklist. Southwest 1394, sounds good. Flighting 310 now. Heading at 310 Southwest 1394.
So this controller now is going to send them up to the north to kind of get them out of the way. There's a lot of traffic in this part of the world. LAX is huge. Burbank is busy. There's lots of other airports there. They're going to send them up to the north. What checklists are they running in that cockpit? They're running at least probably 4 different checklists. And you've heard me talk before about 2 out and 2 in. That's how I'm trained. So as soon as I've got an engine failure, first thing is fly the airplane. So my aircraft, I got the airplane. We get up to that engine out altitude, clean up the airplane. If I'm above 400 feet, but not quite up to that engine out altitude, I begin the first 5 items of my emergency shutdown checklist. If it's a fire or an engine failure, doesn't make any difference. I just say to my co-pilot, quick reference checklist, please, engine failure after takeoff or engine fire after takeoff. They'll grab the checklist, and the first item on that checklist is auto throttle switch, disarm, right? And so I get a concurrence from them that I've got the proper one, if it's left or right. I put my finger on it, they concur, I put it down, I turn it off. Next is the throttle. So let's say it's the left engine. In this case, it is. It's the number 1 engine. I grab it like this, and I say, he says left throttle idle, and I say left throttle confirm. He confirms it. I move it to idle, and I say idle. So I tell him exactly what I did, but everything is confirmed between the two of us. The next is the big, most important one. It's that fuel control switch. So it's down below the throttles. I'll put my finger on that fuel control switch. He'll say left fuel control switch cutoff. I'll point to it. I'll say confirm. He'll say confirm. Right? This takes a little while to do this. I grab it, I put it to cutoff, and then I say cutoff. So everything is double and triple checked by both pilots. Next is the fire handle. If I have a fire, I'm going to pull the fire handle. If it's just a failure, I'm done. We just do the first 3 items, and then we concentrate on climbing out, go get a vector, let's do our other checklist. We're going to come back and complete the engine failure checklist. There's more than 3 or 5 items on it, but the first 3 or 5 are the ones that have to get done. If it's a fire, I pull the handle, again, concurrence with the other pilot, and then if the fire light is still on, I turn the handle clockwise or counterclockwise to get one of the fire bottles to blow into the engine. So that's the first 5 items. Now, these guys, they've got all of that taken care of, presumably, at this point. Now they've got to take care of air traffic control, give them their attentions, declare an emergency, right? Fly the airplane, and next they got to communicate with the passengers and the flight attendants. Yikes, there's a lot going on.
Southwest 1394, traffic 3.6 miles westbound, 6,000, Airbus 320. 1394, roger.
And they still got to look out for traffic because they're flying.
Southwest 1394, the traffic is descending to 5,000 feet, they'll stay above you. Southwest 1394, connect SoCal 134.2.
All right, 34.2, he's going to switch frequencies. Off he goes.
Southwest 1394, if able, connect SoCal 134.2.
They're kind of busy.
Sorry, say the frequency again.
Yep.
If able, connect SoCal 134.2, or you can stay with me, it's your choice. 34.2, so long.
Yep, they're in the middle of a checklist. That's why it took them so long to respond.
SoCal Southwest 1394, emergency aircraft, checking in, 4,000.
So 1394, SoCal approach, roger, and so 1394, just let me know what you need, sir. I was advised you want to hold, and let me know what heading can you accept.
Yeah, we need to run some checklists. We need some time, and I actually think we'd like to start vector down towards down towards LA.
Okay, so we're about 5 minutes into this, and just now he's made the decision to go down to LA. That's a really wise choice. That's why you hear me harp on experience and judgment. You can't replace that. You can't train that. You can't buy it. It only comes with time. But as he's now had this 5 minutes to kind of think about where he wants to go and where he wants to put this jet down, he's thinking 6,800 foot runway. And I don't think that's a good idea, especially with all the buildings around there. I think let's go down to LA. So they're working the checklist. They're working on their intentions back and forth with each other. They're assessing the fitness of their airplane to fly. I think these guys are like, yep, it's fine. Let's go down to LA. But meanwhile, we still got all these checklists to do. So they got to do the emergency shutdown checklist. The next, they're going to look at an overweight checklist. Then there's a checklist called a precautionary landing checklist. It's not an emergency landing checklist. It's just a precautionary checklist that you run through that has a few items on it, like talk to the flight attendants, talk to the passengers, get a hold of dispatch, run your numbers for your landing distance with an engine out. They're going to have to go into the iPad and do that. They have to calculate all the information that goes in there. All of this takes time while they're flying the airplane, while they're talking, while they're looking out for other aircraft, and they're doing a nice job managing all this. It's going to take a bit though. So here they go up to the north.
Are you going to try to go to Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think that's our better option, Southwest 1394.
Southwest 1394, Roger. And can you accept the climb to 5,000?
There's some terrain out there, so he wants to get them up to 5,000.
Maintain 5,000.
You know what's coming next? Air traffic control is going to ask them how many souls on board. What's their fuel state? Wait till you hear their fuel state, because this cracks me up.
Southwest 1394. When you get a chance, you can say
there it is.
Fuel and souls on board.
I've got total souls on board is 70, and current fuel is. Stand by just a second.
Current fuel is here it comes.
Just let me know when you can.
All right.
10-4 on the fuel for Southwest 1394.
Okay, that's not like 10-4 good, buddy, in a CB. That's 10,400 pounds of fuel. In my airplane, I'd be in an absolute panic if I was down to 10,400 pounds of gas. I don't land usually with less than 25, maybe 23,000 pounds of gas. These guys took off with 10,400 pounds of gas to fly all the way to Phoenix. That's how fuel efficient a modern 737 is compared to a Boeing 777, okay? But it's just, that number always blows my mind, especially when I sit on a jump seat of one of these airplanes and we're taking off with less fuel than I would have as my bingo fuel. All right, so they're booking up to the north now.
Just so you know what to expect, we're going to bring you to the east, just east of Burbank, and bring you to LA through there. Just let me know if you're ready now or if you need 5 to 10 more minutes.
Probably about 5 minutes will work to get to this checklist for Southwest 1394.
Southwest 1384 running.
Okay, anybody that gives you a 5-minute estimate, it's always longer than that. It always takes longer to do these things than you think it is.
Turn right heading 340.
Right to 340 for Southwest 1394.
So he's still taking them up to the north. They're actually going away from LAX right now.
Southwest 1384, turn right heading 050.
Right 050, Southwest 1394.
Now he's going to turn them and he's going to bring them around. So now this captain has gotten the engine shut down. He's run through that checklist. He's probably put off the overweight checklist for a minute or two. He's doing that precautionary landing checklist where he's going to talk to his flight attendants and his passengers. So a typical phone call to the flight attendants will go like this. Hey, it's the captain. We've had to shut down the number 1 engine. We're going to go down to Los Angeles for a full stop landing. Get the cabin prepared for touchdown. We'll be touching down within 15 or 20 minutes. So I give them a time frame. I tell them it's precautionary. And then I say to them, at least at my airline, when I say precautionary landing, that means we're not planning to evacuate. If I think there's a hint of something wrong that we might have to evacuate, then I'm going to do what's called TEST, T-E-S-T. The type of emergency that we have, I'm going to tell them the engine is shut down, or maybe it was a fire, or maybe it's still on fire. I'm going to tell them the type of emergency. I'm going to tell them the egress, whether we're going to evacuate or not, what I think we're going to do, but be flexible because I might change my mind. The signal I'm going to use for that evacuation, I'm either going to get on the PA and say evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. I might do that along with hitting the evacuation button up in the cockpit, and then the time, right? TEST, how much time it's going to take to get to that point. So 15 minutes. Some of those elements are included in the precautionary landing, but this is not an emergency where they think they're going to have to evacuate. That's the difference between the two. So he gets that communicated to the flight attendants. You're going to give, and you're going to talk to the passengers. And I don't like to keep anything from the passengers. I also don't need to get overly dramatic with passengers as well. You don't want that, and I don't want that. So I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with the airplane that you're in. You deserve that. I need to show you respect in that manner. So I'm going to say, we've had to shut down the number one engine. I'm going to reassure you that it's no big deal. The airplane flies just fine on one engine. We've got a couple of checklists to do. It looks like we're going to go down to Los Angeles. We're going to land there. We're going to touch down in about 15 minutes. I'm going to give you the same information I just gave the flight attendants. I'm going to say, follow the flight attendant's instructions and make sure your seatbelt is fastened. I'll get back to you with any further details. And that's it. Then we're going to head down to LA. So these guys are out tooling around now. They're going to come back around in a minute.
When you get a chance, please let me know how we're doing, and just give me a warning before you're ready to go to Los Angeles.
Right. So he says, basically, give me an update.
Now, so it'll be just a few more minutes, but yeah, everything's fine. Thanks.
1384, roger, and turn right turn heading 160.
Right turn to 160 now for Southwest 1394.
So some of you might be wondering, why aren't they dumping fuel? They just don't have that much. 10,400 is not a lot of fuel. International flights where you're going over the Pacific or the Atlantic, you're carrying a lot of fuel with you. You might have to dump fuel to get down to a landing weight. These guys are already at a landing weight, so I'm not sure they even have to do the overweight landing checklist. They're probably so light. So instead of 4 checklists, they're probably down to 3. That's fine. They're probably talking to their company right now, the dispatchers telling them what they're going to do, getting somebody a heads up that they're going down to Los Angeles.
Right, the 22 there, the 24 left one.
So now we're gonna fast forward a little bit. I'm gonna bring you down to the arrival in LA. The air traffic controller asked them what runway they want down there. It doesn't really make much difference. They're gonna tell you at LA what runway you're gonna land on. Southwest though is on the north side. That's where all their gates are. So they're typically gonna land you on 24 left there, which is exactly what they do. They get them set up for the 24 left localizer. The airplane's flying just fine on one engine. It's been a little bit of a while now. It's been probably about 15 to almost 20 minutes for them to get everything completely sorted out, but now they're ready to land at LAX. Let's see how that goes. Because there's something coming up I want you to pay attention to. It's something I would not have done.
About 4 miles from the PD, maintain 2,200 until established on a localizer. Cleared ILS 24 left.
Maintain 2,200 until established.
Typical clearance right into LAX. They've also cleared everybody out, so these guys can come in.
294, contact LA Tower on 127.85.
2785, Southwest 1394.
Now they want to pay attention because
Southwest 1394 emergency aircraft.
right, they have practiced for this in the simulator, but they don't do it in the real world, except maybe about once in your career.
4, runway 24 left, fixed land, emergency vehicles are in place.
24 left, we are clear to land, Southwest 1394.
So I told them emergency vehicles are in place, 24 left, clear to land. Now they're just going to fly the approach, make sure that they don't have to go around on one engine. They do a nice job here. Here they come. Full stop landing now on 24 left. They roll out and...
Of the 1394, exit when able and stay in tension.
All right, exit now, and I'd like to taxi to the gate.
What? All right, exit, and we'd like to taxi to the gate? You just had an emergency with an engine out. I'm not on the same page with this guy. Now, I'm not probably going to shut down all of LAX airport for them to come out and inspect my airplane. Most likely, if it's not a big deal, I'm going to taxi off to some place where there's some concrete around me, and I'm going to come to a stop because these emergency trucks, they're on the runway behind me. So they're chasing me down the runway, and they're going to chase me all the way to the gate because I've got an emergency aircraft. I want eyeballs and I want ears on the outside of that airplane. So I want to listen and make sure there's not something I'm missing. I don't want to taxi with an airplane that has a problem with it that I can't see. So I'm going to taxi off. I'm going to stop. I'm going to say, send the fire truck around, have them take a look, give me a frequency to talk to the fire chief on. Once the fire chief says, yep, I took a look and you look fine, you're not on fire, you're not overheating, your brakes are good, then and only then am I going to taxi to the gate. And I'm probably going to ask for a tow truck to take me in. I'm probably going to shut down right there and get towed into the gate. I'm not on the same page with these guys, but watch what he says. He says, we're going to go to the gate. All right, let's see if he does.
1394, Roger, Echo to parking.
Go to park.
Echo to parking, like it's a normal flight, right?
Southwest 1394, do you still require the emergency vehicles?
Yeah. These guys are chasing you, by the way.
If you don't mind, have at least one follow us to the gate.
If you don't mind, have at least one of them follow me to the gate. I don't understand that. I would have stopped right there and had them inspect me out and then gone to the gate. But again, I was just applauding this captain for his head work and what good judgment he uses. So I'm not going to fault him completely for this. I just would have done it differently. But once you're on the ground, you kind of relax a little bit. I get that. Once you're in the air, man, this guy was right by the book, did a great job, got everything done in a timely manner, made a great decision to go to LA instead of back into Burbank. Could have been a bunch of problems if they'd gone back into Burbank that again, an experienced pilot foresees. He sees the danger that lay ahead, and he does something to avoid it, right? He goes down to a nice long runway. LAX has got almost 11,000 foot runways. So very nice job all in all on this. I would have tweaked it a little differently at the end, but now you know. I'm Captain Steeve. Fly safe.